Hi, I'm Steve Kennard with the Texas Blockchain Council. I'm here today with presidential candidate Ryan Binkley. Ryan, thanks so much for being here with us. Please take a little bit of time to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Absolutely.
And I think it's interesting that you bring really a different background to this race, and I think everyone will look forward to hearing a little bit about yours.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, it's great to be with you. It's great to be with the community here. I'm a CEO of Generational Group, and we're a merger and acquisition company primarily. We've gotten into growth consulting in the middle market. We do software engineering now. Bought a software engineering company. Don't ask me to code, but I own one. And wealth management we also do. We have about 400 employees and about 16 offices across the nation. I'm also a senior pastor of Create Church. So I've been doing ministry and business really since I've been married for 24 years to my wife, Ellie. We have 5 kids, and we're really leading this movement of voice for our country to treat the economic security of the U.S. dollar, to quit damaging it every day.
Right.
It's the biggest part of our platform. We just launched a 7-year economic rescue plan because our country's freedom, really the Constitution, our individual liberties, are protected as long as we protect them. And one of the biggest things that's going to cause that is a movement of socialism, which is bankrupting our country because we're trying to buy too many people's votes with our children's future.
That's
so
right.
A big part of my platform is stewardship economically, so it's great to be with you.
Absolutely. I want to dig in a little bit more on the issue of the U.S. dollar. I think you've brought a lot of conviction to that issue, something that's maybe not as much of a focus in the broader presidential race. And I think it really is helpful that you come from a business background and bring kind of a financial mind to this, and particularly around the issue of the debt and the lack of sustainability around that. Can you expand on that a little bit? Your viewpoint and kind of the solution that you're trying to bring.
Absolutely. Well, it's so important. We're just here with young Republicans telling all of them it's so important, and many of you know it already. So this community is probably well aware of how much we have been, poorly stewarding our resources and causing, I would call it monopoly money, this fiat currency to be proliferated throughout the world. So we've had the benefit of being the U.S. reserve currency since Bretton Woods, right? Or since 1971, come off the gold standard. And so it is so important for us to understand if we keep going in debt and keep printing the money like the Fed is doing today, that's just causing so much damage. So there's alternative currencies coming up, China, Brazil, Russia, the BRICS nations, they're getting together. And now we're already used about 15-20% less than we were used as a world reserve currency than 15 or 20 years ago. So we have to say, what does this mean to us economically? What does it mean if we keep printing dollars like this? It's going to damage our banking system because in order to stop inflation, which this causes, all the Fed raises rates, which obviously besides inflation, hurts the growth of our country. So when the cost of capital is so high, people can't buy houses, they're not buying capital equipment, they're not buying other companies, which is the business I'm in. So we're not growing. So big investment banks aren't hiring young professionals as much as they were just a few years ago. So there's this battle right now, but it starts with the dollar. How are we stewarding it? So the advent of cryptocurrency, it all folds in. I think it got started because so many people did not like what they were seeing.
That's right.
I know now it's grown to have so many platforms in business, and I applaud the efforts for us to steward them well.
Absolutely, and I'd like to dig in a little more around the worrying trend around the dollar. It's kind of losing stature in the world, and another emerging risk around that is the Federal Reserve's efforts or really continued digging into the possibility of a central bank digital currency. That hasn't really been laid out officially, but there is a research effort within the Federal Reserve towards that. Other candidates have spoken to this. Is it something that you've looked into? Do you have comments around that trend?
Well, I mean, first of all, just the conversation itself, I'm leading. Most other Republican candidates aren't talking about the stewardship of the dollar because it's either not their background or they don't think they can help us get to a balanced budget. So I just launched a 7-year economic rescue plan to balance the budget in 7 years so we can put it into this. Because right now we spend $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion more a year than we bring in. So we're printing money, borrowing money from ourselves, and this is the problem. So should we have a U.S. digital currency? Well, I don't know, maybe for some things, but right now the American people don't trust the U.S. government. The American people don't want, that I talk to, want the U.S. government knowing every single purchase we make and how we're making it. Now, how that conflicts with the industry that you're in, I think it's so important you think about how do we bring stewardship, how do we prevent corruption out there, purchases being made by countries where it's not seen, where there's hidden trafficking of money and resources. How does it manage the right way? I think in this new pioneer of cryptocurrency and the old digital platforms, it's time for, it's the wild, wild west, right?
Yep.
So how do you lead early? I think that's up for the leaders in the industry to figure out, but I'm not really in favor of a U.S. national digital currency.
Yeah.
I would say maybe at some base levels with central banks and moving money around.
Yeah.
Is it easier? But right now the American people don't trust it.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I think you laid it out well there. You've also alluded to, the risks around having America lose its leadership position in terms of innovation in this space. And we have seen a trend of innovation companies and investment in the digital asset space going offshore because the current administration, the federal government, has taken a confusing posture and not really put forward any clear framework to allow innovation in the space. Can you talk a little bit about the way the federal government is really getting involved in new and emerging industries like the digital asset space and how you would like to handle that as you look at your administration?
My whole campaign is about handling things better from a business perspective. We have so many inefficiencies in the federal government. So that's really the area I'd focus on, is taking a business person's approach to these 15 major departments.
Yeah.
Now you look at the platforms you have with not just digital currency, but just a whole crypto platform and stuff, how that can be used throughout many other industries and businesses to make them more effective. I think that's really important that we invest in that you invest in that, and America understands how this can make everything more effective. That's incredibly important. Some of the areas that people are concerned about, like we talked about already, is this area of I can't see it, I can't control it.
Yeah.
Are we creating another economic market out there where there's no visibility to? Because a big part of my campaign is transparency.
Yeah.
I'm going to start asking the federal government to be transparent. The people of America, we the people, the government was hired for us, we the people. And so, but at the same time, if I'm going to be leading with transparency, more Americans are going to want to know that as well. So the transparency elements you have, as long as it's there, the traceability aspects that are there, as long as those are clear from an economic perspective, big transactions, making sure that it's clear, I think there'll be less hurdles. The more we can communicate that to the American people and how we set up, right now it's not really governed, right?
Yeah.
The SEC is
total lack of clarity.
They don't really know. So
that's right.
Once that becomes clearer, I think people will feel more comfortable with it. I will lead us in that conversation to making sure that it's transparent, it's traceable, it's clear. It's not necessarily another currency, it's another storage of value, as we discussed before, like gold or whatever, but it's another place to hold it. But let's make sure we're not creating another sub-market, and I think that people will trust it more.
Well, I certainly I appreciate your insights there and would love to see that kind of American leadership in this space. Ryan, can you tell us where we could learn more about your campaign, what you're doing, and kind of the future for you?
Well, thank you. So Binkley2024.com is our website. Hit us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. We're putting a lot of stuff out there. We're traveling all the time. So we've been to 62 counties in Iowa. I'm going to New Hampshire. Wow. We're posting events. You're going to get a sense of our message. It's a different message. Real message is to unify our country, to solve our biggest problems, to the debt crisis we're in, the healthcare crisis. Right now, healthcare is a system of monopolies. Another one I want to bring transparency and truth to, innovation behind, because literally the insurance exchanges, the monopolies and big pharma, that's causing so much inflation. Other than that, uniting our country on the border, how we're going to secure the border and come up with real solutions for immigration. This is what we're about. And also helping urban American education. So I'm talking about the Republican Party broadening its tent, changing the narrative, quit the divisive rhetoric, and leading economically. So I appreciate the discussion as well. But follow us on Facebook. Help us get this message out. We appreciate it.
Thank you for running, Ryan. It's great to have a native Texan in the race.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.